Welcome everyone to June's edition of Access to Text. I'm John Kennedy, Head of Solutions here at Access4. Today I have with me Anne Southall, Head of Product, Mitch Davis, Solutions Consultant, and Luke Vickers, Senior Solutions Consultant. If any of you have any questions, please add them in the Q&A box at the bottom in your Zoom client. It could be at the top depending on where you have it. Shane will be looking at those who's remote and be assisting with either answering those or getting us to answer those live. So on to what are we discussing today. So initially I'll just give a quick brief update around Webex calling and, Webex busy lamp fields, apologies, and just call pickup notifications and that. Anne will be running through our product roadmap around Datagate and UJET and iCall suite. Also around the evolution of SASBOSS, where it's come from, where it's going to, and what we're planning on doing in the next year or so. Luke will be running through some qualifying questions around voice opportunities and what to ask partners, your clients, around voice and how they want to be able to utilise it. And Mitch will be going through SASBOSS tips and tricks and talking about our API capability into SASBOSS at a high level to start with, and then we'll have 2 more sessions in the next 2 Access to Text to go deeper and dive deeper into the API capability. And with questions and answers, please ask questions and answers throughout the session. We will answer them as we can live, but we also will answer them at the end if there's any left over. We may also need to take away some questions and answer them through email. So a quick vendor update. Webex busy lamp field call pickup notification. So this feature leverages the busy lamp field and call pickup features. Users in a group, for example, members of a sales team can monitor the BLF call status of other group members and answer each other's calls. Group members receive an audio and visual indicator on the Webex app of ringing calls for the other group members. In addition, they can answer the calls of other group members they are monitoring. This feature is especially useful for situations where the group members are working remotely or in different locations and can't hear each other's phones ringing. Monitor your workmates' calls and answer calls on behalf if you wish. Webex will provide an audio and visual indicator toast pop-up, as indicated on the screen there, on the monitor where the Webex app is located. Users can ignore or answer calls of other group members they are monitoring. This feature is especially useful in situations where the group members are working remotely or in different locations and can't hear each other's phones ringing. The Webex busy lamp field. Users with physical device and Webex may want BLF on the device, but may not want to be distracted by Webex BLF toast pop-ups continually coming up on their desktop device. Currently, the toast notifications are on by default if you have BLF enabled in Broadworks and can't be managed in the Webex app itself. You will shortly be able to turn on or off the BLF toast notifications for Webex desktop applications through SASBOSS. This can be done for a single service in the BLF settings in SASBOSS or through bulk update options if you want to save time by doing multiple users at once. This option is under internal release and soon be available for partners. So please hold on for that, and that will be coming soon. So over to Anne for the product roadmap.
Cool. Thanks, John. Our vision at Access4 for our products is to allow you to deliver solutions to your customers in a modern workplace. We've been really busy with that over the last 5 to 6 months. We've released both UJET, iCall suite, and we're preparing for Datagate and SMS Gateway for later in this year. So first off the bat is UJET. UJET was released on the 17th of February of this year. It's a best of breed product for CCaaS 3.0. You might ask what CCaaS 3.0 is. It's all about a single source of truth for the agent. So bringing your customer service and sales team together. So all those different channels where it's coming through is bringing to that one screen for the agent. So that single source, no channel switching, any of that sort of taking time and making it much harder for agents to get back to customers. It's all about bringing it into one space. There's a lot more information about UJET and all the products I'm mentioning today on our PRC and in SASBOSS, or speak to the solution consultants or your PGMs, and they'll be able to point you to all of our collateral documentation for you. iCall Suite also came out this year on the 31st of March. iCall Suite is the advanced call analytics system that drives customer engagement and maximize business efficiencies. So that's for any customers that need more advanced call management, analytics, especially real-time call stats for call centers. That's the product for that one. So what's next? We have Datagate. So Datagate will be released in July. So next month it's coming out. And that's designed for partners who have multi-vendor billing requirements. So it's a billing requirements solution. Looking to the future, we also have SMS Gateway. So SMS Gateway has been on roadmap for a long time, long before I joined Access4, but it's now has enough demand that we can actually proceed with this product. So text messaging being instantaneous. So most text SMSs are read within 3 minutes, have a 98% open rate. This makes SMS one of the quickest and most efficient tools for customer communications. And so we're doing a multifaceted approach to how we're delivering SMS Gateway. So there'll be portal-based systems, so you can log into SASBOSS and manage address books. There'll be API-based, so you can develop your own code, the SASBOSS API documentation, and also app-based. So working with a range of vendors. We really want to allow you to provide an SMS solution with the same provider and add another recurring revenue stream to increase your customer stickiness. We're really reviewing a lot of different use cases. Let's go back one slide, yep. A lot of different use cases for SMS Gateway, everything from marketing, billing and collections, operational messages, reminders, all that's being considered as the use cases for SMS Gateway. And we're also being really particular about our selection criteria. So looking at everything from API automations through to how feature-rich some of these products can be, scheduling, CRM integrations that are available, reporting analytics, all that, trying to make sure we're giving you a best of breed product for SMS Gateway. All right, moving on to the evolution of SASBOSS, one of my favorite topics. I love talking about SASBOSS. So over the past 12 months with SASBOSS, it's been a huge change. One being that we didn't have a product team 12 months ago. So as a foundation member, we've grown the product team from 2 through to 7, and that's all happened over the last 12 months. Before that, it was Tim, Saj, Stan, getting together in a room. They were the entire product team before we came along, and they did a lot of things really, really well. One, they were very partner-led roadmap. So all those ideas that you put into the PRC roadmaps, those would get reviewed every single week. All the votes would come through, and whatever was the most picked would get built. And so it was a really partner-led roadmap. They moved really, really fast, and they had a real focus on functionality. And SASBOSS ended up that way. So it was a big, feature-rich, large product. But when you are moving that quickly, with such a small team, you do have some drawbacks. And one of those is you don't think about the UX as it's coming through in as much detail as you would like to. Because you're trying to move really quickly and get as many features in. And so some of you might have realized that SASBOSS isn't quite as intuitive as it could be. That some of the products that when you have a drop down of actions, it's about 20 different options. It's not really clear. You can do lots of things different ways. With the new product team, our focus is on user experience. So we're still doing a lot of things the same way. So we still have a very partner-led roadmap. We have the ideas portal. So we're still taking all of your ideas coming through. They get reviewed every week and prioritized. We still move really quickly with our monthly releases. But our focus is on user experience and intuitive design and mobile-friendly design. Everything that we're bringing through now is mobile compatible, so you can go through and use it wherever you are. You don't have to bring a computer or a laptop with you. And we're really focusing on making sure that user experience is really good. So SASBOSS 2.0 is coming out of that, where we're going and looking at all SASBOSS and revamping the UI, plus all the new IP features that are coming out, fully UX focused, and with the functionality coming through. So over the past 12 months, we've had 92 releases. That's almost 2 releases a week. And they're really focused on security, reliability, scalability, and functionality. What we're moving to now is SASBOSS 2.0, the roadmap of new functional IP pieces, and overhaul of SASBOSS UI. So we asked partners over the last couple of months what they wanted to see on the roadmap, and the overwhelming response was CPQ, so opportunities and quotes, visual support, call flows, and reporting and analytics. And those are the three big things on our roadmap for this year. So I'll take the opportunity to share some of those ideas with you now and speak through those three major ones. So CPQ Tool first. All right, CPQ Tool is the opportunities and quotes tool. So it's being taken out of PRC, being brought into SASBOSS, and being really overhauled as a user experience so that when you come in to do a sale, make a quote, everything you need is in the one spot. And it's a real step-by-step process to get you through to an end proposal or bill of materials that you can then send on to the customer. These are some of the early mock-ups, how it will look in SASBOSS. It'll be delivered later this year. But it's really about reducing the sales cycle to book revenue quicker. So removing overheads, allowing your sales team to have as much freedom or as little detail they want to put into the quote. You can do quick quotes still where you just go through, pick your licenses, and that's pretty much it. But you have the opportunity to also go through and put as much detail as you like in to make a validated call flow, which can be provisioned in one-step provisioning. So you'll come through and select all your licenses, put the user information in, DID, build a call flow, a visual call flow that can be validated with all the business rules so that you know everything's connecting and works the right way. You can validate that, and then the next step, one-step provisioning, it all goes out and gets made for you. So depending on how you want to do your quotes and how you like to do your sales process, you have the options to do as much or a little detail as you like. So really about reducing overheads to provision. So bill of materials provisioning can be really quick, depends how your sales team works. Yeah, making a lot of accuracy of your quotes. All right, so here's an example of a quote. So Honda Motors, they have 3 quotes in there at the moment. So the middle one there, which is green, that's the quote that's been closed won. And you also have the mobile-friendly view on the right-hand side, as I mentioned. All of our new items are being built for mobile-friendly designs. And we'll be taking people through focus groups later on in the year as these features getting close to coming out, and there'll be a lot of information coming out for go-to-market of how to use these products. Speaking to how, like I mentioned, you can put as much detail or as little as you want. So on that first page, you have picking of licenses. We have a lot more information around what licenses you are picking, what their compatible add-ons are. You can stick to that screen. You can move to review and send your proposal on, or you could step through all the screens and get to a call flow. And so on the last page there, when you do your proposal review, you'll have all the information to do a validated call flow and do one-step provisioning. It really depends on how you want to work. All right, the next one is visual support. So visual support, the word visual in it refers to the visual call flow designs. Visual call flow designs will be in 3 places in SASBOSS. One, the CPQ tool, as I mentioned before, when you're doing your quote, designing how a solution will work. The second part in provisioning the solution. So if you haven't gone through a validated call flow or you're coming straight in from at the provisioning point, you haven't done that quote through our system, visual call flows will be in there, and also visual support. So when you have an existing solution but something's gone wrong and broken, you need to come and fix it as a support process, there'll also be visual call flow management and design in there too. So this is about having a visual layout of how the call flow works. So an example one is to the right there. That's not how the new solution will work. That's just some of our templates that we use. But you'll have a visual representation of where your call flow starts all the way through to the end. And you can see where it's broken. You can do a quick triage. And then you can also do a simulation to see if you've fixed it. So you can test out your configurations. You can deploy asynchronously whenever it works for you and your customer, and go through it and really manage that in a visual way. So that's what visual support's about. The third one, partner and customer analytics. So first we'll focus on the customer part of it. So we're all about providing a solution to support customers in a modern workplace. So providing the insights that you have a distributed workforce or a remote workforce, things like avoiding burnout and disengagement, sentiment analysis, and resource utilization. So when we're talking about reducing burnout, we might be doing how long has Jerry been working? Is he working 9-hour days, 12-hour days, 3-hour days? We have a conversation with him and improve how he's working so we can avoid him burning out or losing engagement and increase his well-being. Sentiment analysis, similar. It's about looking at chat logs, call logs. How did that conversation go? What sort of language was used? Was it a positive conversation? Was it a negative conversation? Was there inappropriate language used? and have that conversation with that staff members to improve that for them. The second part is partner analytics. And this is really focusing on you being able to make actionable insights based on your business. So asynchronous benchmarking, for example. How are other partners who are your similar size, your similar customer vertical space or geographical location, how are you benchmarking against the average or the top 10%? What sort of product mix are you working towards? What are your margins and profitability? What is that compared to others? And where can you, what actions can you take to improve that for yourself? Also like login, security, there's a lot of reports that will be coming out in the partner analytics that we can talk about a lot further. And that's coming out later and next year. All right, how can you get involved with the product team and making sure that SASBOSS is built for you? You are our biggest source of SMEs and the users of SASBOSS. So we really rely on what you need and telling us what you need and how things can work better. We have a huge number of focus groups coming out this year. So some of you might have been involved in the CPQ ones or the visual call flows focus groups. If you weren't, please raise your hand if you would like to be involved in focus groups. Next one's coming out will be the new ones for the resale area. So how you manage your own data, manage your own configurations and stuff for you in SASBOSS. Provisioning services, as I mentioned, partner support, customer area, partner and customer analytics, just-in-time learning, and CPQ phase 2. So we're bringing it out soon. There'll be a phase 2 coming out. We'd love to hear back from you on all your feedback and what's working, what you'd like to see more of, less of. The last area is the community ideas portal. This is in SASBOSS. It's live now. So the left menu down near the bottom. We really pride ourselves on having a partner-driven roadmap and be able to talk as a community to our partners. This is a great space. It's replacing the PRC roadmap. You put an idea through, others can see it. You can communicate with your product team, with us. We can discuss requirements with you. You can also look at other people's ideas and say, oh, actually that works for me too, vote for that. Or, oh, I have a similar issue, but my use case is actually this one, and we can solve both problems through the one idea. So please have a look at that ideas portal, submit your ideas. Some ideas might already exist there, vote for them. We really want to create a great community where everyone's supporting each other because we're trying to build a best of breed product for everyone here. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Anne. So over to Luke for qualifying questions for voice.
Thanks, John. All right, so from time to time, you're probably going to have a salesperson within your organisation who's asked you to come out for a demo. So these are sort of things that I go through before coming along to a demo. So I like to do a little bit of homework. I'm not talking about doing a war and peace, to the nitty gritty, but the basic things you could look out for before attending a demo is work out what type of industry that they are, so that way you can use previous experience from other demos or other deployments that have been done to try and match their industry. The employee count, of course, would allow you to gauge how many people you need to engage with. Locations, are we looking at a multiple location deployment, or is it just a single site? Some things maybe we're thinking like maybe it's a franchise operation. Do they have the opportunity to even make the decision for themselves or not? Last place you can look is the website of the business itself. So like the contact page, how they interact. So you can look for things like chat bubbles or contact us via email, the phone numbers that are on the website, what are their operating hours. That should be enough information for you to be able to go to your demo to then work out how you would interact. So things like contact us via email. Maybe you could talk to them about like chatbots using UJET, operating hours. Do they have after-hours call-out services or things like that? Those are the sorts of things you can bring to the conversation rather than going for a laundry list of questions when you meet them for the first time. So before presenting, for myself, I don't like to show the screen and start showing the applications first. I like to go through the information I've worked out to start off with. So that way it's more of a conversation piece trying to discuss. I've done a bit of homework, they're not reiterating from the scratch. Because they may have already engaged with a few other people already. It gives you the idea that you're ready to go. Whilst you are in a demo, try to work out what are the roles of the people that are there. Are they the decision maker? Is it a supervisor? Or is it someone who's actually going to be the end user? This way, when you go onto the demo, you can present the application to those layers. Next part is when is the project to be completed? So that way you can understand, are they just coming here just to get a bit of an information session, or they've actually got a deadline they're trying to achieve to? And this way you can also work out that the project they're wanting to achieve can be completed within that particular timeframes as well. Last but not least, what are they hoping to achieve? Asking this question allows you to go through what the applications you're going to show before going ahead. Moving on to the last piece. So you've gone through all that. Now we're ready to show some applications for myself. If I'm going to be doing a Teams demo or something like that, or Webex, try to use the opposite for the booking. So that way you've got the opportunity to present the application in a working state, particularly if an end user is there on a demo. They're going to have some questions how it operates. Just talking about it doesn't quite work. It's a good idea to show the application in its functioning state. So when showing off the application, don't try to go to every little menu. Keep it simple. Don't scare them off. Keep it, like we're not reinventing the wheel. Make it look like it's something they can pick up and use out of the box without doing a full-on training session. So during the presentation, as we're sort of stating here, go for the different layers. I like to work at the end user first. This is how they'd operate. If there was a supervisor component, this is how you supervise your employees. And then, of course, the next layer above that, how you actually look at your analytics of the data. Pretty much like what Anne was alluding to before with analytics and stuff like that. And then, last but not least, use scenarios based on their industry. Use something that's relevant to their industry. After quite a few demonstrations, you'll start to understand how the applications you use for that industry. And you may give them some fresh ideas about different approaches. Using that information will help them feel like you've done it. It's not the first time you're presenting this solution, but also you've done it before and gives them the confidence in you to actually deliver it.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for that great information. Over to Mitch for the SASBOSS tips and tricks. Automate the boring stuff.
Thanks for that, John. So as most of you may be aware, we do have a couple of APIs available to our partners. The first one being our provisioning API. So that is talking directly into SASBOSS. This is allowing you to manage anything from the creation of your enterprises and your groups, and even your end user services, also updating them to update that user information, updating their license types, all that kind of information can all be done through that one API. The next main one we have is a billing API. So if you want to click next, John. So that's adding chargeable line items to the invoice we can send to your customer. So if you're using retail billing, it's going to give you the ability to be able to add either recurring charges. So if you're doing managed services for them, you can add that to the bill via us, as well as adding one-time fees. So if you're doing a large-scale setup, your first invoice to them from us can include that setup cost and things like that. So it allows you to add those line items from that. It also allows you to retrieve the line items as well. So getting your core detail records from SASBOSS for the entire enterprise, as well as individual users as well. So that you can pull that data back into your own system to make sure there's no billing leakage from that perspective as well. And finally, the last main API we do provide is iCall Suite. So if you are providing iCall Suite to your customers, you don't have to use that as your main focus and way of analyzing the data. You can use that to pull the data back into a system the customer may be more comfortable for. So you can use that yourselves to automate the reports for them. You can generate dashboards and things like that for the customer, and they can use the iCall Suite for that. But if they've got someone internally who's more familiar with Power BI or something along those lines, you can use that to pull the data back into that system so they can analyze the data themselves and use a different reporting platform that they're more familiar with. So you can use the API for that. What I'm going to run through now is just a quick example of what those three APIs can be used for and a bit more in depth and how it can make your lives easier. So first of all, looking at boarding process. So every partner has to use boarding at some point to bring across numbers from existing carriers. And that process may look something like what's on the screen here. So you get the contract signed from your customer. You may already know the DIDs that are involved. You may not, depending on what information the customer's provided to you. And that may or may not be in your CRM or your provisioning tools or anything like that as well. So if you do know those DIDs, you may be sending off an email to the customer confirming those numbers. You're also going to be getting their recent invoice, so you can get that in for the reporting process as well. as well as getting the LOA, so saying that we can port the numbers across. If you don't know those DIDs, that information, you could just be sending them an email being like, can you please provide us this information? Once you do send those across, it is going to the customer's email. So that may take them a couple of days to respond, just could take a couple of days for them to get the information, all that kind of stuff, which point they then send that back to you. That's going into your emails as well. So you may get lost there, you may be away, get lost, you may not get to get back, things like that. So that can add more delay to it as well. Once you do get it, you are probably going to verify it, make sure that it all equals out, there's nothing missing, things like that as well, before then entering into SASBOSS. So you're then taking that data, manually modifying it, making sure it's all correct, and entering into SASBOSS into a provisioning process, at which point it kicks off that standard process from that side. What we can do to make that a little bit easier is we're still starting with that contract sign, still asking, do we know the DIDs or not? But if we've already saved that into your CRM, we then take those data from there, send an email to your customer. Instead of asking, thank you, is this data correct? Send them an email saying, thank you for signing with us. Thank you for your business. Can you click on this website and verify your data? So instead of getting them to respond to the email, send them a link to a website where it has all their contract details, has everything they've just signed with you, has that, you can pull that visual call flow diagram that Anne was talking about earlier from our quote tool into that portal as well, making sure all that's in there. And then verify the DID. So these are the numbers that we are aware of. Are these correct? They can confirm those. You can then ask them to upload that the recent invoice, as well as give them the template for the LOA as well. So rather than just asking them for that or sending them that in an email, have the template ready on that website. Alternatively, if you don't have those numbers, still send that email. Send them to that website where instead of verifying if these numbers are correct, get them to enter the data. So you are still waiting on your customer to get back to you. Still can take a bit of time from that perspective of how long that takes, because different departments, things like that. So it is a bit of a black hole from that side. When they do send that back, rather than sitting in your emails or whoever sent that email, it's then going straight into a platform. So you can then take that data, can go back into your CRM or your provisioning portal or anything like that you're using internally. So it means that whoever sends that email, it doesn't have to forward it to someone else. It can go to whoever it needs to go straight away. Or if you're away, you can go to someone else who can manage that as well. So you're not having to forward emails or anything like that. It's being managed inside your platforms. It also means that verifying data step makes it a bit easier as well, because you can check the data, make sure it is in there correctly, make sure you're verifying back against the original data you had. If there's anything else as well, make sure it's all in the right formatting, things like that. And then from there, you've already got the data in the right formats you need to be able to push it into SASBOSS. So the API then you can then submit it via API. It's all in the right formatting. You're not having to re-enter it. You're not going to be dropping any numbers or any accidental issues like that. And from our side, API is going to accept that. It goes to our porting team, and they follow that process as normal. So it's going to make your lives a bit easier of not having to chase emails around, forward emails to each other, anything like that. It can be a little more straightforward. All the data is in your CRM, so it's not going to be lost in somewhere else. And can be saved when you need to as well. It also means that LOA, if there is any troubles going forward, you always know where it's going to be as well, rather than being hidden in someone's emails and trying to chase up the correct one. Next API we have, talking about our billing API. So they don't just have to be useful for yourselves internally. These can be used for your customers as well. So rather than just using billing API to pull data and provide data, core detail records and things like that, what you can do is offer assistance to your customers. So think of a hotel, for instance. When someone's checking into a hotel, use the API to update the service on SASBOSS with that customer's information. So update the room name to be the customer's name. It means that when they call down to reception, it's going to call with the pop-up they get from either Webex or Teams, or if you're using Go Integrator, the pop-up they get from that actually have the customer's name rather than just that room number. A bit more personal from that perspective. It also allows for, if you're using something like GoCara, single click to then access that customer's record, things like that as well. So a bit more user-friendly and offering assistance to your customers. That's something that once you also build that once, you may offer it for free because you're building something for your first customer. But if you sell to multiple hotels, you can charge additional for any additional hotel from there as well. Already got the baseline config, gives you a bit of extra revenue from that side and really easy to deploy when needed. It also works for, you can also use it as a checkout system as well. So when someone is checking out of a hotel, you then get, it can then do a quick lookup if you are, if the customer's charging for calls for that hotel room, does a quick API call back into SASBOSS, has a look, is there any call charges made in the past while that while that end customer was checked into that room. So you can pull that information and adds that to that customer's invoice or the end user's invoice straight away, rather than having to chase them up after the fact or anything like that. Makes it much easier from that side as well. So you can get that data straight back in SASBOSS, straight into that customer's front of house software, and add those call charges. So being able to provide that information and that extra functionality to your customer can be pretty easy from that side. The other nice thing about this is if doing this, you can also then use that same API call to update that room back to that hotel room number or anything like that, however they normally provide, have that detail saved into SASBOSS as well. And finally, iCall Suite. So as many of you have seen iCall Suites at some point, really detailed reporting, really good analytics around call center stats, all that kind of thing, overall business reporting as well. What it can be used for is not just that, but being able to hook it into an existing reporting platform, like I mentioned with Power BI. So using that to be able to analyze reports and provide reports to your customers. So you may want to use something like Power BI, hook it into iCall Suite, into something like Jira for a ticketing system or whatever ticketing system you're using already. Pull that data into there. It means that your reports can be much easier to be sent out to your customers if you're sending weekly or monthly reports to your customers. So it means that whoever has to do your reports doesn't have to get these reports from individual people internally or try and gather that reporting information themselves. They can come in the morning, first of the month. Power BI can do that pull from iCall Suite, from your ticketing system, gets that information already. It means when your reporting manager or whoever's sending those reports once a month or once a week gets into the office, they can log into Power BI. All the reports or data is already there. It's in the format you already wanted in as well. They can verify it, make sure it looks okay. There's no outlying tickets, no outlying call data, something that looks extremely wrong. Once they've verified it, you don't just have to send it to, you can save it, send it in the format you wish to your customers or anything like that. Or you can take that data and send it to into a web form, similar to mentioned earlier. So that way, if you have a portal for your customers, they can log in, get their monthly ticket stats, their monthly call data records, and you can see, given that data live. So they may not want that data on the first or second of the month. They may jump in and have a look at it a week in kind of thing. So they're still getting that data. They don't have to search for their emails once again and have that saved whenever they need to actually be able to pull that data. Alternatively, you can have that data live update. So if you may only send them a monthly actual report, but if you're pulling that data, you can track it live throughout the month and give them live updates, see how the current month's going, not just the previous month or how the previous week has gone. So you can give them that live data if you need, almost live data as well as if you wish, or if you really want, you can give them live data so they can see how many calls are in the queue at the moment, things like that. So it does require a little bit of configuration on our side within SASBOSS, just to make sure that depending on if you want to report on your whole IT queue as a whole, or if you want to report on individual customers within that, can be a little bit of configuration. But we're happy to work with you to get that configured for you as well if you wish. So that's three different examples of what we can provide and what the APIs can be used for. Just on that, so as John mentioned earlier at the top of the session, this is a three-part session series. So the next two ones are going to be a bit more deep dive into what those flows would look like, what kind of calls you'd be doing, things like that, and how to analyze the data. If there's something you wish to see specifically, there's a URL on the page at the moment, as well as a QR code. Jump in there, it's a quick form, submit what you're interested in, as well as if there's something that's a bit more that you find painful internally as well, something you think that an API could be useful for, let us know as well. And we're happy to have that conversation and seeing what the API could do to help you out, or what we could, how we could analyze things differently as well. So happy to get that feedback from our side on that side as well.
I'll leave that on the screen for a half a minute, just so everyone can copy the URL down or the QR code. And we will be having some more API information in the next two sessions from Mitch, and also based on this information you fill in here, we will utilise that to shape the next session. All right, some quick final updates from me. So I know I've talked about this one a fair bit. The Telstra CLA update, there is no update. Currently, we're still waiting on them to give us an update to tell us when they're going to turn off the diversions off of CLI, and we'll have 30 days to let you all know, which again, we will let you know, but I just thought to let you know that there is no update at the moment. Whilst that's not great news, at least we know there's no update. End of financial year stock levels. So, you know, we've got 2 weeks to go for end of financial year. So if you're looking for stock, if you're waiting on stock that is on hold or anything, or back order, sorry, please hit up your PGM and see what other stock might be available so you can get that in before end of financial year. And last but not least, question time. So I'll just go quickly through the questions that we've got here. So what are the service packs that would have Webex BLF feature enabled? Do we have that information?
So that would be executive and the collaboration suite of licensing.
Yep. Cool. Can you monitor groups you are not a member of instead of individual members of groups via BLF, a group pickup key?
You can use you can use group pickup if it's ringing within that defined group. So, but if you still want me to just do a direct key pickup, you'd need to use BLF.
Cool. And that's all there. Great. Well, thank you very much for all joining us. We hope to see you here again next month and the following months past. So thank you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next month.